Now, Steve Jobs and his iPad sent Apple stock up, and now The Loop will discuss if the magical new creation actually lives up to any of the hype. Joining me from San Francisco to help us make sense of it all, senior contributing editor for Gizmodo, Mark Wilson, is here, and our very own tech correspondent, Dr. Dave Matthews, joins us as well. Thanks for joining us in The Loop, gentlemen. Guys, we've all seen what people are saying online about the iPad. But Mark, let's start with you. What hasn't been said about the iPad? What do people need to hear about this device that wasn't in the keynote?
No, I don't know. I played with the device for like about 15 minutes, and I would say the one thing I didn't realize after seeing that huge bezel, around the screen was that actually it feels great in your hands. And the system is just so fast, and going between all the apps is faster than you've seen on the iPhone 3G or 3GS.
Right. Well, I mean, it should be fast, Dave, right? Because it's only running one application at a time.
That's right. They just missed the boat here. This thing does not multitask. I really want to see more of a portable OS X than I do a big iPhone. I already have an iPhone with its limitations.
Yeah, that is true. But what about the price point, Mark? I mean, $499 for the base model. Is that the way people are going to sway on this device?
I think so, because the nickel and diming you sort of get to with the extra 16 gigabytes or 32 gigabytes later, and the 3G plans are really expensive. But $499, I think, I don't know about you guys, but I was pretty surprised when they dropped that sort of bombshell at the keynote today.
That is true, but Dave, we're looking at $499 for 16 gigs. There's no SD card on there without an adapter or some sort of dongle. I mean, this is aimed for soccer moms. Soccer moms don't dongle, Dave.
No. It's like not enough space at all. We should have had 32 gig, 64, 128. The fact that they put 16 is a joke. The other thing is every one of these devices should have connectivity. There's this chip called Gobi, which will work across all the networks, both CDMA like Verizon and Sprint, and the HSDPA like AT&T, and they didn't even go with that chipset. So once again, another fail.
Yeah, I felt like Apple sort of reached through the monitor and punched me in the eye when they announced AT&T. Mark, am I the only one, or is AT&T a problem here?
Yeah, I mean, I think AT&T is a problem if you wanted 3G, and if you own an iPhone, you know AT&T is horrible. But I don't know that Verizon would be an upsell to anybody who doesn't want to pay $30 a month for data anyway, which I think, I don't think many people with iPhones are also going to pay for subscriptions on, tablets.
But their map is covered in red. How could we not want Verizon? Or maybe we'll save the money from the data plan and put it towards, I don't know, a USB adapter. I can't believe the iPad doesn't support USB out of the box. But what about the camera?
Well, kind of it does, Kevin. It'll support these little gadgets like this that use that 30-pin dock on the bottom.
Right.
And it'll do USB, but only to things like cameras. And they do have a VGA output as well, so you'll be able to use special applications like Keynote to do video output, but non-high def and no HDMI.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
But
I mean, go ahead, Mark. I'm sorry.
Well, what I keep in mind with that dock connector, though, is that API is open, so software developers and hardware developers can make more things with it. So while it's not really a straight USB solution, there is a lot of creativity we're going to see from third-party groups on it.
Yeah, I just personally don't like the notion of having to carry around extra things, even if they are very tiny and coming right out of the box. I just don't like having to carry multiple things, especially to even hold the device up. I mean, if you're on a plane, it's resting on your tray, unless you buy some sort of stand for it. But what about the camera?
Hey, Kevin, they should have put a kickstand on this.
Yeah, a tiny little lever, something on the back to hold it up would have been great. And what about the camera? Because I know we had all these high expectations going into it. Of course, Apple couldn't have given us everything that the blogosphere was hoping for. But Dave, no camera?
Yeah, you know what, Kevin? This is a classic Steve Jobs. He just baits us along. All the early adopter Alpha Geek fanboys are going to go buy this one with 16 gig for $499. And then next year for $499, you're going to get 64 gig, and you'll get a forward-facing camera, and you'll get rainbows and unicorns.
Right. But still no simultaneous applications, I'm sure. But what about gaming? I mean, they made a big announcement about gaming. It's clear that they're going after that market. Mark, is that going to be the iPad's secret weapon here?
I think it might be, I think apps are the iPad's secret weapon, just like they are for the iPhone, in a sense. But I think gaming in itself could be, all of those bad things about gaming, all those control problems are there, and they're only exacerbated by a bigger screen, and it's a bigger thing that you have to hold. So while the screen is wonderful and it's way bigger than a PSP or a DSi, it's still going to have all the same control problems that the iPhone had.
Dave, do you agree? Kevin, do you expect a peripheral?
Yeah, I played some of the games in the normal iPhone mode, which is the small screen. and then you can hit a button and it'll blow them up to the full screen. And it does this dual pixel interpolation. That's easy for me to say.
Interpolation.
Anyway,
yeah.
that interpolation makes everything look blurry and fuzzy. So the app developers are really going to have to spend some time taking up all that real estate. And I wonder if we'll have two versions of the same game. We'll have a low-impact version for the iPhone and a high-impact for this big screen.
Sure.
I don't know. I think it's a little too cumbersome, and I wish they would have gone OS X.
Right. And to that point, and I'll ask you, Mark, you know, with the native iPhone apps looking a little fuzzy if you blow them up, I mean, people are excited that, hey, look, they bought the app already. It'll play right on their iPad. But do you think consumers are going to enjoy perhaps having to buy another version of their game, one that's designed for the larger screen?
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people will end up buying another version of the same game, you know, for the tablet or whatever. But I will say, actually, I thought the interpolation worked pretty well on the racing game that I tried. I'm not sure that it's going to work great for every, you know, type of graphic, but I think that for general sort of low-end 3D graphics, the real problem is the polygon count more than the interpolation
Well,
itself.
as long as my fart button applications are anti-aliased, I'm happy. I'll be good to go. Now, Dave, there's a promise of 10-hour battery life. We have a bookstore as well. They said 10 hours when watching video. Do you believe them?
Yeah, so I was confused at first. I thought 10 hours was only with the screen off and the unit playing Kenny G music.
Right.
But it turns out that the processor, because they built their own 1 gigahertz, the A4, this new Apple chip, this came from some technology they bought with a chip company a few years ago. It seems to be able to do 720p HD decode, as well as drive all the games, and still maintain a low power. So from what I'm told, that 20 hours is using 10 hour, is using 802.11n and full screen capability. So they might really have that whole thing packed with batteries.
I hope so. I hope so. Let's ask you then, Mark, the million-dollar question. Are you going to buy one? And if so, which one are you grabbing?
I'm thinking about buying one. I don't know that I'm totally sold on it, but I think the $499 is the most attractive one. You know, even with the 16 gigabytes of memory, which is admittedly ridiculous, I don't really want to pay $800, you know, with 3G for this thing.
I would agree with that. Dave, what about you, sir? You picking one up?
Kevin, I love my Hackintosh, my Dell Mini 9 for like $199, and then you know, an SSD on top of that.
Wait, Dave, Steve told you there was a gap in your life, and then he showed you the product to fill it. You're not going to get the iPad?
My Gap has more megabytes, and my Gap can especially run Flash.
All right, that's enough talking about your Gap for today. Thanks to Mark and Dave for keeping us in the loop. We appreciate your analysis, guys. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.